Hey, Mike Callahan here. Going to be starting in a few minutes, just checking the audio. If you are on the live broadcast or watching the recorded version, going to be starting in probably about 5 minutes on the timeline. So if you have any comments or questions, drop them below. Otherwise, we're going to be diving into job costing, adjusting new price strategy, production rate based estimating based on your numbers, not numbers out of a book, and price matrix and drive time in the next broadcast. So we'll see you in about 5 minutes live here on Simple Growth Certified Advisor, Facebook Live, How To and Service Autopilot. All right, well, it's about 10:20 here on Monday morning. Going to go over job costing and adjusting a new price strategy. So in your CRM, if you are using Service Autopilot, I'm going to show you how to go in and create a job costing report. Once we have that job costing report, we're going to be able to take that data and actually extract it into an Excel sheet or a Google Doc and see if we're making money in each particular job. So one of the things we find with a lot of companies that we work with, and I'll admit it, I'm not on a pedestal here preaching. Before I got an education in this was something I would do. But we hear a lot of guys and girls talking about, well, I'm going to raise my prices this year by $2 a cut across the board. Or if you're in the home cleaning industry, I'm going to raise my home cleaning by $15 or $20 a visit. In my opinion, that is the worst thing you possibly could do, because if you have jobs that are making over $100 an hour and your goal is only $50 per hour, there's no reason why you would ever raise the price on a job you're making double the amount of profit on, and run the risk of alienating them. So we're going to hop into Service Autopilot here and some Excel sheets and give you literally a step-by-step directions how to run a job costing report, the 2 different types of job costing reports in SA that I suggest. Once we figure out the per property pricing, we're going to have a strategy of when and how to raise the prices on the properties that aren't making you money. And then we're going to go into production rate based estimating based on your numbers. So a lot of people would be posting on these Facebook groups and wanting to know how much should I charge for this. And nothing drives me just absolutely crazy as seeing it in these groups. So this is hopefully a good basis for everybody out there watching, how one way to figure out what your actual production numbers are based on the information in a platform similar to Service Autopilot. But this would be applicable to anything you're doing, even if you're using pen and paper or an Excel sheet, and you haven't, got to that level where you're buying a CRM or a scheduling and billing software. So this will be applicable to just about anyone. And then I'm going to touch on the price matrix and how to create drive time. So the other thing that we see is a lot of times people are making great money on the jobs, but they may have a 2 or 3 man crew or even a 4 or 5 man crew. And they're not accounting for drive time in their budgeting or their price. So I'm going to touch on that and give a little preview, but this is something I'm going to be doing once a week live, just giving some free knowledge of job costing, different processing systems in your business. What's up, Jason Rodriguez here? Looks like some people are joining live. So if you guys and girls have any questions, feel free to drop them in. I'll take a look at my other screen here and try to answer them as we go. But I'm going to dive into SA right now. And if you're not watching this live, feel free to drop some comments and I will actually go in and try to answer these throughout the week as well. If you are watching this Monday, it's today, later today, the SA Weekly Talk Show is going to be live with Corey Schneider, just an absolute sales shark. Cody Owen and myself are going to be going live with Corey Schneider at 3 Eastern, 2 Central. So I'll be making some posts about that. But without any further ado, I'm going to drop into SA here. So some of this stuff may be a little blacked out. I'm actually in my Callahan's Lawn Care account. So I don't obviously want to give away all my clients' addresses and names and pricing, obviously. But I'm going to give you a pretty good look under the hood here. So if you have any questions on it, let me know. So right now, the place we're looking right now is under scheduling and reports. And we're going to the job costing report. So we're going to go in and click the job costing report. And this is where we find the data based on job costing. So one of the things we want to look at, though, is in the closeout day screen. If you're using Service Autopilot, we want to be entering the start and stop times of every job. So the job costing analysis here that I'm going to show you how to run is going to take the start and stop times for every time we've ever gone to a job. So I can go back probably at least last 7-10 years, every job that we've been on. And I can tell you literally if Carlos left at 11:30 with a toothache and, Joe came in and replaced him at noon. So this data is really, really important. So if you aren't tracking your start and stop times in Service Autopilot, if you're using it, or manually in an Excel sheet, if you're not using a platform like Service Autopilot, really, really important. So the numbers are going to help you make the decisions in your business with no emotion. And now, numbers talk, emotions walk. So this is where I'm going to show you how the rubber meets the road once you enter that in. I'd preferably like to see you be using the mobile. But if you're not, at least enter these hard numbers in each time. And we want to stay as true as possible. So we want to make sure at the end of the day, before we finish everything out, that all the numbers are making sense. So we don't have a job that ran 24 hours instead of 24 minutes. So first thing we're going to do is go in and set a date range here and load the report. And once we load that report, we're going to be able to go in and get a report that we can export out to Excel. So I'm not going to run that report right live here because all my current clients and database will literally be shown to the world here. So this is under the scheduling reports. The other option, scheduling reports are right here. And the other report, job costing analysis, is under the home icon reports. So problem of doing Facebook Live here, but that job costing report. So job costing report under the home icon is one that I really like because it allows you to actually pull up custom fields. So I'm just going to load this in here for today. There probably isn't any data yet, but it'll give you an idea of what it looks like. So hopefully I'm not letting the customer list out here live on Facebook, but we'll see what pops up. But once this pops up under the home icon, this is the report that I'm running, we are able to select custom fields. So a lot of people want to know how much square footage of grass they can cut in an hour, or how many how many small, medium, or large bushes can they trim. So if you have a custom field, this report, once it loads, will allow you to select that column. So I'll come back to this when it's finished loading. There's probably a lot of data behind it. And then the next one here is job cost summary, and then you can select it by service here. So what we are going to do is export that to Excel, and we're going to dump it into this job costing template. Now, I just took all the data without letting all my customer database out on the internet. I copy and pasted the download from Excel into this Google Doc I created. Now, the header here for address, date, service, revenue total, budgeted man hours, and the variances are all line up completely perfectly with the export for your export out of job costing out of service autopilot. So what you want to do is what I suggest is creating a Google Doc so you can share it with your team. Now, obviously, to hide the addresses, I black these out and put placeholders for A, B, and C clients. So what we're going to do is once we export that out of Excel, I would recommend going in and inserting 2 lines like we just did here in between each client. So everything you go down here, you would add in. So let's just say this next chunk here is stopping here. We'd add in 2 rows above that. And the way I've made it is I made these columns fixed so they're sitting here. So we'd go in and average this column for revenue total. So select them, hit average, and return. So the average price, obviously, it's been $25.69 there. And then we want to take our revenue, actual revenue, and average that as well. So what this is going to give us is an average of the actual dollars per man hour generated on each one of these jobs, this particular customer this month. So I'm going to go up to the pre-built example here that I've already manipulated. But we did the same process here. So for client A, we averaged the actual total revenue in case maybe there was a special charge. It was outside of the normal billing price here. Then we did the actual revenue per dollar. So the one thing you want to look at is when you're doing this is you can see the actual revenue per man hour here was $15.80. This probably was a data entry point. So when you run this job cost report for the whole entire season, you're probably gonna have 30 to 35 cuts. Statistical mean there's enough average in there. I would probably delete out that row so it doesn't skew the data. But we're gonna average these 2 here and get the total revenue, the average revenue per trip, and the average revenue per man hour over the whole entire month in this instance, or the whole entire season. So what we recommend is doing this in June or July, depending on if you're in the northern or southern area, and then running this again at the end of the season before we renew those contracts. So if we have to raise their price for the next season, we have that. So now that we know the price per cuts and the actual dollars per man hour, we can scroll over on the screen here, and I've taken the liberty to build out some formulas here. So whatever our average per man hour goal is in this instance, fictitiously, is $55 per hour. So we know our actual revenue per man hour is $50.33. So we're just about $5 or $4.77 short below our actual goal. So what this tells us here is at $55 an hour, we're not making enough to hit our hourly goal. So our new mode price went from $43.61 here to $47.65. So it's a price increase of $4.04. So this is where we're going to be raising the price specifically per customer if they're not hitting our hourly goal. Now in this setup, we could go in and say, okay, well, what if I wanted $50 per man hour? Well, when the math is done, if we're making $50.33, that price doesn't have to raise. So what we do is create this template And now based on every year your projected hourly goal per man hour, we can change this, and this will show us any of the jobs we need to recalculate. Or if your overhead has gone significantly higher, when you hit this in June and July, you may need to reprice some of your accounts if they're not hitting that threshold of that hourly goal. So I'm going to bump this back to 55 to just give you a ballpark idea. So this other job here was getting $100 a cut, and we're averaging $99.92. So obviously, even at 55 bucks, this price is not going up. So this is where I was talking about where a lot of people go in and raise their price across the board by a set dollar amount. Well, that would be really stupid in this scenario because we're averaging $100 per man hour on this account. So we'd want to leave that alone. So the next thing we're going to go into is just give you an idea of some of the data behind this. So when we run that job costing report, I have a column here for lot size. And I'm going to see if this loaded yet. So as we go in here under columns, we can select any of the custom fields. So if we go in here and selected turf square footage, which is right here, we could have the turf square footage based on a custom field in this export of the job costing report. So we would take that turf square footage in this report and have it plugged right in here for the lot size. So for instance, if this was fictitiously 10,000 square feet, we could do some simple math then based on an average to figure out how many man hours it takes per 1,000 square feet based on a residential home with no fence gate, maybe a residential home with a 36-inch fence gate, and or a commercial or industrial lot. So what we can start to do is segment this list and create production rate based estimating based on our own production rate. So a lot of people have gone in and looked at Charles Vanderkooy's overhead recovery book, where it has some generic industry standards. But I think things like that are really out of date at this point. So if you're looking to create your own production rate based estimating system, make sure you have the custom field filled out for each property, whether it's turf square footage, linear length of bed, or whatever matrix you're following for small, medium, and large bushes. So if you can have that custom field here, this will get you the actual production rate based estimating in your estimating system. And then the next thing we want to do is go in and give you a little background of kind of how we create that hourly man-hour goal, and then how we schedule these jobs for the day and for the year. So this right here is our master copy of our overhead recovery system, and it's a MORE system. It's a multi-overhead recovery system. So this is what we use in our company. Something I really don't consult with, but it'll give you an idea of what the makeup of the overhead could be. So first we do is we calculate the average wage. So we're going to be literally putting in all the employees' names per division. So if this was a mowing division and a hardscape division, obviously those things are going to be different. But we're going to put their hourly wage and list all the employees and their wage, not including overtime, and the projected hours worked for the whole entire season. As we scroll down here, the calculation is going to give us an average wage, and then we put the percentage of time they're working of overtime in there. So this would give us a total average wage with overtime. So whether we're working overtime or no overtime, this is on average. This is going to recover that for us each and every time. Now, next thing we're going to do is go over our labor burden calculation. So this is going to be your FICA, unemployment, state unemployment, workman's comp. You're going to list this down as a percentage of dollars, and it's going to give you a labor burden. So for every $100 of payroll, maybe there's 31 cents of labor burden. So now that we have our labor overhead and cost, the next thing we're going to do is go into equipment costing. So the MORE system is going to cover your equipment, labor, and G&A, general administrative costs, those fixed costs. And that's going to be shown in the next sheet here as I'm going to hop into this. But I want to give you some context of what we're getting into and how this all plays into the information we're putting in the service autopilot. Now, obviously, this is a fictitious example. We're going to go in and take our truck, our vehicle for this crew, the purchase price, years finance, interest rate, years of use, salvage is the value at the end that we'd sell it for. How many work days, how many hours per day. This is going to give us operating costs here. Annual insurance, licenses, miles per year, miles per gallon, gallons per year, how much the fuel is costing us. We're going to go into oil changes, how many times it costs to do that. We're going to go into tire change intervals. and the annual cost of the tires. So the total cost with additional maintenance, we're going to have a yearly budget of $11,600 for this one truck. And then it's going to give us a monthly operating budget. So the number on the bottom here that we really want to pay attention to for SA or any pricing matrix, however you're doing, is the total cost per hour that truck is in the field. And then we're going to go through and literally scroll to the right here and do the same exact process for a trailer if you're using it. So we're going to have an hourly cost for our trailer, the mowers and machines, and then a maintenance package. And this is going to be basically your handheld equipment. So your weed whackers, your trimmers, your hedge trimmers, anything that smaller handheld equipment, we're going to lump those together so we don't get stuck in the minutia. But we obviously want to recover that. As you can see here, I've got snow plow. If you're in a northern state, we're doing snow removal. We'll have snow plows. We will have salters, and then your maintenance package for your sidewalk crews may encompass blowers and spreaders. Or if you're using a larger machine like a stand-on Toro grandstand with the plow on it, then obviously you'd want to recover that as its own piece of equipment. So now we've addressed the labor here on the average wage. We've got the equipment costing, so what's going to actually be on the crew. And then we're going to go our hourly bill rate per crew. So we're going to take each one of those and plug them into something that looks like this to get that hourly cost. So what we're going to do is we're going to put how many men are on the crew, number of hours today, the average wage came off that first sheet. Labor burden for mowing is that FICA, the unemployment, and then the labor overhead recovery is going to come off our projected P&L. I'm not going to dive into that for this conversation. And in this instance, if we wanted 15% profit margin net, we would mark that up 15%. So we have our daily labor costs, we have our truck, our trailer listed here, overhead recovery rate, and the profit built in. So truck and trailer is at $145 a day. Mowers on the crew is going to run us here $98 a day. And then the maintenance equipment, so that's that maintenance package. This is all your handheld equipment. So that's $36 a day. The reason I dive into this and show you why this is important is I'm going to show you how this actually correlates to the routing feature now in SA and how this will tie back to the earlier conversation, the job costing, because we really need to know what our specific internal costs are with profit and then what profit we need. So at the end of this, we know now with a two-person crew, our daily sales goal is $720 a day. And this is obviously all fictitious, so don't think that these numbers are numbers you should be running your business by. A daily break even of $626. So we need to charge $720 to make a 15% net profit. We're going to, before we make any profit, we're breaking even at $626. And our man hours per day are 20 man hours. So if it's a two-man crew, it's a 10-hour day. I'm going to show you where this is important in two spots in SA in a minute. And our break-even point per man hour is $31.30. Hourly bill rate is $36. So these bottom two numbers are going to be extremely important. Those are the numbers you're going to use in the pricing matrix on each service for Service Autopilot. And the daily sales goal, break even, and man hours per day is what you're going to use as a benchmark when you actually go to put your routes together. Because we have a lot of people who have all this information, but when they go to make their routes, they completely forget about it, and they're not booking or billing enough hours or dollars a day to hit their profit margin, and they're eroding that bottom line. So what we're going to do is I'm going into SA, and this is a screenshot of our mowing schedule here, residential, not our commercial stuff. So there's about 336 residential plus our commercial work that we do. It's about a 65% split. Obviously, I'm not going to scroll down and show you all of the lists of our accounts. But what I want to do is show you the correlation. As we're putting these routes together, we can go in and select group selections, and we can go in and let's just grab a chunk here. And obviously, it's going to be a little fictitious because of the route density there without giving out exactly where all my accounts are. But once that's in there, it's going to highlight all the pins in this area. So we have budgeted hours, total services, total revenue. So what we're going to look at here is the $885 is total revenue and budgeted hours. So if we went back to the sheet and said, okay, does it meet my daily sales goal of 720? Yes. How many budgeted hours? So when you have those numbers now on the left, it's going to allow you to route for for maximized profit and make sure, in this instance, if we don't have at least $720 in the total revenue, we can't put that truck out, at least the way it's set up with the same overhead recovery. So maybe it's going to be a one-person crew with half the equipment. That's obviously up to you how that works. But that is the basis of the numbers here to make that work for yourself. And then the next thing I wanted to do is to finally, kind of bring this thing to completion is when you go into SA and you've got scheduling settings for your services, we are going to set up our services to make sure that they mirror that overhead recovery in the motor system that we've just used. So if we add a service here, I'm going to show you how that kind of all relates. So obviously you want to fill out your service, your code, sales tax, service mode. The thing I want to look at here is the rate matrix. So the formula we're going to use is quantity rate times visit. And we'll just say from 1 square foot to, let's say, 5,000 square feet. And given the example of this is, let's say fictitiously it took us an hour to do this. So our bill rate here is $36 per hour. So we would say the rate is $36 even an hour, budgeted for 1 hour, and the cost is $31.30. So as we're setting this up, this is how this pricing matrix kind of lays out. Now, what we usually see is either every 500 square feet or every 1,000 square feet in a lawn mowing situation. So let's just say this is 1,000 square feet. I'm going to pull up my phone real quick here and actually make this some real math so it makes sense. So we would take the 1,000 and divide that out. So you would say, okay, every 1,000 square feet over 5,000 square feet is X amount of dollars more. So if we took, just divided by, so that would equal basically $7.20. My math is correct off the top of my head with this calculator. So that is going to be $7.26 per 1,000 square feet. And that's going to be 5 divided by 60 is 0.083 hours. And the break even on that is going to be $6.27. So that's how we've set this pricing matrix up in SA. We want to base it on a custom field. So on this one here, obviously it's going to be turf square footage, and that's what we're measuring. And now when we run that job cost report, we'll have the turf square footage particular to each property in that report. And if we need to go in and adjust these prices later or halfway through the year, if our overhead's gone up or down, whatever the case may be, we could adjust it here and get new updated pricing as well. So hopefully that makes some sense. Main thing you want to do though, as you're going into SA, is we want to look at the scheduling settings. This is the main job costing or scheduling reports. I'm sorry. This is the main job costing report that we want to do here, but it does not include custom fields. So if you want custom fields, we would go to Home, Icon, Reports, Job Costing, and then this job costing report is where we can actually select the columns and pull out turf square footage or different variables as well. So if you have any comments or questions, drop below. Hopefully this was helpful, but wanted to go through job costing, adjusting a new price strategy. So when we're going out to do this, we would probably want to do it June, July, when most contractors are too busy to go out and be attentive to get these estimates. That's probably the best time to raise your prices. And obviously before the season starts again, any of the customers that are losing money or losers, we want to bring them up to whatever that hourly goal is. Production rate based estimating based on your numbers are going to be done through the job cost report under the home icon, using the custom field for turf square footage, linear bed length, or small, medium, and large shrubs. And then the price matrix, we went over that, but we want to take the overall number from your potential job costing analysis here, the hourly bill rate and the break even, and allow that to go right into the service level, as we just showed you, to create a production rate based estimating system on custom field and your actual numbers here. So hopefully it was helpful. We'll see you later today on the Facebook SA Weekly Talk Show with Cody Owens and Cordy Schneider. And then at least once a week, I'm going to try to create these Facebook Live videos and see if there's any questions before I close this off. What's up, David DeRosa? Yeah, the link will be here on the Simple Growth page, as well as I'm going to create a link on the SA user group page as well. So appreciate everybody checking out live. If everybody else is in the field, appreciate you checking this out on the recorded version. So we will catch you later on the SA Weekly Talk Show coming up later today.